It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. For the details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
I'm Wayne Miller.
And this is
It's Movie Time. Okay.
Wait, no. We have a movie called The Equalizer.
Yep.
Starring megastar Denzel Washington. But come on. Bourne, Bond, tell me, where is it?
Oh, I think it doesn't rate up there with those two. But I think, and I think Entertainment Weekly said this could be his first franchise.
Oh, it will
Denzel
be. You
Washington.
bet.
Yeah. They left you at the very end with him and the little newspaper ad, that he put in. He's found his calling rather than, sawing wood there at the Home Mart.
Right. He's an employee of the Home Mart. It'd be similar to what we have.
Probably Home Depot.
Home Depot,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. He's a really good boy.
Yeah.
And everybody's interested in what his past life was like. Well, as we discover it, he was probably an FBI operative.
Or some sort of secret agent.
Right, yeah. Anyway, he's retired and he has a spare living and he's doing nothing but he meets little cutie pie. And the good thing about this movie
is Chloe.
Yes.
Yes.
And no romance.
No romance.
I'm telling you that. I'm warning you that because for those of you who are sick and tired of older guys and younger women, yeah.
Well, especially her role as a young Russian prostitute. And the interesting thing, she's pretty much out of the movie in the first half hour.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right. Yeah, that's right.
I thought for sure that there would be more scenes of him, going and visiting her after, she's laid up by her pimp. But the one thing I want to say, though, John, since they made a little bit of a deal about this movie because it's based on 1980s.
Yeah, you would know.
Yeah, oh, God, yeah, I remember the show, and I really liked it.
Equalizer was called, right?
Two things about it that I was surprised. I went last night, did a little bit of research. It was long on CBS for 4 years.
Yeah.
I was surprised at
88 episodes.
Yeah, from 85 to 89, and the Equalizer it seemed to be an American government agent, but he was played by a British actor, pretty good actor, Edward Woodward.
Right.
And I remember another thing about the show, because this guy, looked like he wouldn't be able to, take care of action like Denzel could. But I do remember watching the show, and I liked the show, and I was surprised by its level of, kind of a dark grimness to the show, and the amount of violence for network TV at the time.
On a superficial level, the film glorifies the ability to use small objects to murder.
Yes.
So you can imagine if you're in Home Depot, and this one is called Home Mart.
Yes.
And he's surrounded by very bad Russians.
Yeah.
This is a good cast of Russians.
Oh yeah, very. I'm a slimy. I'm a the Russian mafia on this one.
So wow. And he's got all kinds of things, including probably from the trailer Corkscrew.
Yes.
Among other things that he does. So it's intriguing to watch. Look at. You could take your 13-year-old son to see this. I don't think there's much blood. There's a lot of. Or am I off?
Well, I think a bit. Somewhat a little over the top in violence, and but here's what I thought too about the whole violence bit. At the very end, I won't give it away. That's when the movie became slightly incredible. After,
I agree.
Of course, the Home Mart big finale. Every movie has to have some big finale of violence. Then it got a little bit too much after all that, and the next scene, I won't give it away, where he goes. I kept contrasting the last half hour of the movie with the very quiet, and I thought very well acted, very constructed first half hour.
I think Antoine Fuqua, who was his director in Training Days,
yes,
I think they have the same cinematographer,
yeah.
And their setup for him sitting in this lonely diner late at night is so Edward Hopper Nighthawks. That it's clear that they studied this thing before they. But it's a beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful shot. So yeah, contrasting with the opening,
Well,
which is very docile.
Well, you really, and this is the one thing about using Denzel for a movie like this, you could really identify with the guy. Most of the movies he does a superb job. He has carried so many bad movies because of his acting, his natural innate charisma.
Oh my Lord, his charisma.
And when you see him with his workmates, when you see him later on when he talks with this couple, a couple of actors there.
Bill Pullman.
Yes, and Melissa Leo.
Right.
Come in. Some of his buddies from the old days.
Yeah, they were probably in
agency.
charge of something like the CIA or the FBI.
Yeah, that you could kind of tell that they were really high up and old buddies of his. But his natural friendliness and charisma really comes through.
Look at
very good, and how he dealt with the young lady in Chloe's character in the diner.
Make no mistake, though, if you like this kind of dark thriller, you're going to get all you need. You will get a full plate on this. He kicks butt every other minute on this, and he does it with such charm, as you would say, his charisma, that he carries it all the way. And what about the Cold War?
Well, the Russian mafia has made it much colder.
And let me give a plug to Martin Chokas.
Oh, excellent as the main villain.
He is.
Wow.
You have never seen a villain like this.
Yeah, I think one of the reviews I read, they said that he had a Kevin Spacey death mask. How he looked, and very good, kind of soft-spoken, very urbane guy.
Somebody else said he was like a good-looking Hitler from one point of view.
Yeah.
He's everything.
Oh, well, and then, because you think, is this guy going to be able to really take care of action? He sure does. And when you see him in one shot of the movie, stripped to the waist, and all the Russian prison tattoos that all these guys sport.
So it's worth it to see, how do you get something new? This guy is new and fresh. He's demonic, and I hope he gets to be on screen again to play this. Now, you know Denzel is not going to die in this, but he's a formidable foe for Denzel. And as in all of these that rise above, there's something smart about it. Denzel's ahead of them, and these are tough guys, and these are smart guys. But he's played it so low-key in his life, it's difficult for them to figure out who is this guy.
Right.
But eventually they do, and he has to be ahead. The Cold War aspect of this, and I know I'm elevating it more than it should, but it seems to be prescient given what Bad Boy Putin has been lately. Don't you think that...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were making the movie 2 years ago before the business in the Ukraine.
And a lot of these characters seem to be ex-KGB or ex-Russian military, and probably fought in a number of the little wars from Afghanistan, Chechen, and other places that the Russians have.
So, if we're going to be back in the game with Russia again, and it looks like we're moving that way, figuratively speaking, the film works to say it's going to be trouble.
Yeah.
And because, we're going to have people, I mean, we don't have people like Denzel.
Yeah.
But in a sense, I guess metaphorically, we're saying, don't mess with us because we're going to be just as tough as you think you are.
Well, and these, every portrait of the Russian mob or ex-Russian military and Secret Service that I've seen, these guys are tough. They're mean suckers. And so, we're going to have to be quite as tough as them. One thing I did want to point out, too, that talking about Denzel's acting, I think he was, in some, especially in the action scenes, he was really kind of helped along, because you noticed, and this was something that I noticed in, it was reminiscent of the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr., that he's in a tough situation. You get an extreme close-up of his eye, and then intercuts of different objects, different things, different where the people are placed and everything, kind of like in the first Sherlock Holmes movie.
Well, great. That's a great...
And as Downey's Holmes would stand there, and you could think him almost like chess moves, thinking ahead before time of what he's going to do to dispatch his foes.
The camera has really quick frames to show what from his point of view, what he notices, for instance, in a room, if you have a whole bunch of mobsters around, he's noticing all the object. Just the way at the beginning he was moving his fork on his plate.
Yes.
Or obsessive compulsive.
Very upset. I thought, where was this going at the beginning?
Right.
When he puts a tea bag in his
He
takes it there, puts the book, puts the spoon, takes everything.
It's great. You just know that he is going to use this on these poor waiting killers. He is going, but it is, and I think it's become almost a cliche to do that. But I agree with you. I think it's very effective. It prepares you suspensefully for what is going to come. It gives you confidence that this one guy, when you have 5 very bad guys around you, might be able to get out of there. So it's a really nice.
Well, one thing that I always like looking at different shots and scenes in movies, comparing them to other similar types of things. What Denzel's character Robert McCall, what that reminded me of how meticulous and how Spartan his home life was.
Yes.
Morgan Freeman in the movie Seven. If you
good.
That very Spartan, everything laid out. At night, he laid out his badge.
Great illusion.
And everything. Went to sleep with a metronome. So, but something about that Spartan life, and maybe in a way frees up. That OCD-ness of them maybe frees up some creative juices,
and you have
as they could look at things.
You have the right word. Spartans were warriors.
Yes. That's true.
Exactly.
Very good.
Anyway, we are at that point. Look, the film is The Equalizer. The film is Denzel Washington. Great.
At first, I was really it was borderline B and A for me, but then as it turned a little bit both repetitive but also formulaic. Near the end, I would give it a strong B.
And your buddy here is right with you.
Yeah.
It's a solid B. Look at it is formulaic.
Yeah.
You just can't exalt it to an A because it's so creative, because it's not. But you have combination of a very good director.
Yes.
And a very fine actor.
Yeah. And when Chloe was on earlier on,
very good.
And even at the end, I mean, she makes her roles very believable. I like her.
All right. Well, it looks like we've equalized that grade.
I think we sure did.